Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the Grimwade family channel. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about what does labour feel like. I am 6 babies in, so I think I'm quite qualified now to tell you what labour feels like. So I'm currently 26 weeks pregnant and sorry, my lips are all doing a madness. So let me say that for you again. I'm 26 weeks pregnant and now I'm obviously thinking about labour and getting this baby out. That's why I'm like thinking so hard about, okay, this pregnancy, is this labour going to be the same? Is it going to be different? Let me actually talk to the Grimwade gang about what it feels like, because there might be lots of ladies out there who are thinking about labour and they're getting maybe scared about what they don't know. But guys, I would like to say there's nothing to be scared about, okay? Like, this will be my 6th time of giving birth and my experiences have been different, but each time we've birthed a baby at the end and it's been all good. I think I've always said like Harper's birth was like the most complicated one, because basically what happened was my placenta didn't just come out straight away afterwards. There was a bit of a hoo-ha with getting all that kind of out of me at the end, but it was still fine. Like, I'm here to tell the tale, so it's all good. Basically, the pains of labour, I'll start right at the beginning from when you start feeling your first contraction, okay? So when I was in labour with Hezzy, I started getting these like feelings like I had trapped wind, and I was like, obviously I didn't know that I was in labour because it was my first child, like, and I didn't know what it felt like, and I was really kind of like interested in, okay, is it going to be just pain straight from the start? Because when you watch the films, someone's in labour and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in labour, and they start all the wailing and I think it's quite extra personally, but yeah, they start all that and it just looks so dramatic. So when I was in labour with Hezzy, right, I started getting these like feelings of trapped wind, and I thought I was like 3 days, it was 3 days before I was due. So I was like, okay, is this labour, is it not? I called my mum, I was like, Mum, what does labour feel like? And at the time, of course, I was like, what, 22? And she'd not had, obviously, a baby for years. So she was like, I can't really remember. I was like, okay, thanks, Mum, for the help. Basically, it was a feeling that was coming and going. So it was like trapped wind, but coming and going. And I was a bit like, well, it can't be trapped wind, because when you got trapped wind, it's there, it's trapped and it just stays. But my feeling was like coming on and then going and then coming on and then going. I was like, okay, this is a bit different. So I just kind of like just went with it. Obviously tried to relax. I drank some tea, had some peppermint tea, used a hot water bottle, and then I tried to go to bed. But it was to the point that I couldn't like fully sleep comfortably. It was like waking me up every now and again. So if that kind of starts happening, I think that is this good sign that, okay, this is actual labour pains. So it kind of progresses. I don't want to say really quickly, because it depends obviously how your labour goes, but it progresses and intensifies, and I would say that the next stage starts to feel a bit more like period pains. I have to make that a bit more specific, not like horrific period pains, because there are some women that of course have really bad pains when they're on their period, to the point that they're like feeling contractions. I would say the next stage of labour is not quite that bad. It's just like an ache that is like worse than trapped wind, but not as bad as the full labour. I hope I'm giving you a good gauge here. Imagine you had like a stomach ache that was really low in your abdomen, and it's like obviously coming and then going. Anything that comes and goes, you know, okay, this is like labour pains. But it's that kind of dull, it's not sharp pain, it's like a dull period pain. And that's what I would say the next stage felt like for me. And it's been the same, I would say, with all of my labours, really. With Hezzy's, of course, I wasn't sure, but going on through all of my pregnancies, Hosanna's, Hallie's, Harper's, Hazariah's, I think all of the pain like process has been similar. Definitely when I was pregnant with Harper, and she's baby number 4, when I went into labour with her, it was like shortly after Christmas, and I was cleaning the house, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get through as many contractions as I can before I go to the hospital. And my sister-in-law had well, yeah, not that, about 3 months before, I think it was, she'd had a baby, and she'd managed to stay stay at home, like literally until she was ready to push. And I was like, right, the competition's on. I didn't say that, but in my head I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep this baby in and not going to the hospital until I'm ready to push. Okay, so basically I think that is what I wanted to touch on this next stage of labor. Like, it's mind over matter, because as the feelings intensify, you can either like give into the pain, because when it goes from like a dull pain into a kind of slightly sharper pain that comes and goes, you can be like, oh my gosh, this pain is like overtaking my whole body. You can feel it in your back, your lower abdomen. Sometimes you might feel it in your legs a bit. In your legs, I would say it's like a crampy feeling, but it's just you can literally feel all your muscles like tightening and then like relaxing and then tightening and then relaxing. And it gets more and more intense. I don't know if you've had like a stomach ache, like stomach bug before, and that point before you feel like you're gonna like throw up, where you don't feel like in labor that you're gonna throw up yet, I don't think, not at this stage, but it's like the real intense feeling, but rather than it being up here in the top of your stomach where you usually feel like you're gonna throw up, it's like low. So it's a bit of a sharp pain that comes and goes. And then yeah, I would say the next stage after that is where things are really starting to progress, when the baby's like literally so far down, ready to almost come out, that you feel literally like there's like a bowling ball inside you. And I remember when I was in labour with Hazariah, who told us to call all our children a name with a H. It's so like off-putting when you're trying to think of it. It's like anyway, when I was in labour with Hazariah, I remember being in the hospital corridor, and literally I had my father-in-law and my mum on either side of me, and when that pain came, it just felt like someone had just dropped a bowling ball right in the bottom of your stomach. And it just makes you almost like, I want to demonstrate it, so I hope you can kind of like get the full demonstration. It makes you just kind of like drop, and you're like, ah, this pain, because it's sharp. It's almost like it's sharp and dull at the same time. I guess that's a bit of a contradiction, but it's like, imagine there was a sharp ball of pain on the outside and then the heavy weight of the dull pain on the inside. I would say that's what it feels like. I hope you can kind of like get that picture in your mind. But it's not scary. It's not scary, because if you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna see my baby, this is so exciting, that's what I've tried to do when I've been in labour. It really helps. So I'm trying to paint a really honest picture of what labour pains are like without scaring you ladies out there who may have a labour coming up sometime soon, because I just think it's such a beautiful process. But when those pains hit, when you are reaching, I would say like the 7 to 8 centimetres dilated kind of period, it gets so intense, like it's mad. But you have to remember, they come and they go. The feelings come and go, right? So it's not just constant at that point. But then once you move on to, I would say, like the final stage, when you're like literally, the baby is crowning and that head is, boy, it's ready to come out. That's when the sharpest pain hits. And I'd say all the dullness is now kind of gone. This is like a feeling like 10 bowling balls are being pushed out through your privates. You feel like your bum is about to come out of you and just your whole inside's about to come out, and it's so heavy and sharp, you just think, oh my gosh, this is gonna rip my body in half. But you'll be surprised, because your body can take it. I've done it I've done it 5 times. This is gonna be my 6th. Like, you can take it, okay? The body is amazing, but the feeling is so mad. It's crazy. Like, I remember when I was in labour with Hazariah, I was sucking on gas and air, because that's the only painkillers that I've ever taken whilst being in labour, like just gas and air, and that doesn't really take the pain away. It just kind of helps you relax more. So I was sucking on the gas and air, and I could hear Tim was next to me, my mum was in the room, and obviously the midwives were all there, and I could hear their voices, but it was almost like they were down a tunnel or something, because I was so focused, just in a zone with me and baby, and we were just so like connected. It was mad, because it was beautiful, but it felt like I was in a film at the time. And yeah, I just focused on the fact that I was about to meet my child, and that just pushes your body into the mode of, you can do this. You get me, girls? You can do this, okay? Like, literally, that is, I would say, the worst pain I've felt in life, but it's also the most beautiful, because you're bringing life into the world. Literally, they were in you and then they're out. So yeah, when that head crowns and you're pushing out that baby, you're just thinking, oh my gosh, how is my body doing this? Because you can feel your skin literally like moving around the head as the baby's head comes out, but like the baby's moving. And now I've not actually torn or anything in my labours before, and I know that's my experience. It's not everyone's experience. Sorry if you can hear Hezzy coughing. He's got a little bit of a cold. He's in the background, but I hope you can ignore that. I've not torn in any of my pregnancies, but I know there's obviously some women that unfortunately have. But I've experienced grazing, so like where I've like not torn. It's not a tear, but there's something there. It's like a graze, basically. That's why it's called grazing. So I know that for some ladies, unfortunately, they experience that tear and that is excruciating pain. But again, they're here to tell the tale. They've gotten through it. You can heal up afterwards, drink a lot of water and all that, and you'll be fine. But yeah, that final pain feels like 10 bowling balls coming out of you. And when I'm saying bowling balls, I'm talking about the ones, the big hard ones that you throw in like a bowling alley, you know, when you knock down the pins. Yeah, 10 of them coming down all at once. Craziness. But then the baby's out, and then there's just like a feeling of lightness and freedom after that. And always just remember, after the baby comes out, like putting my legs together, and you actually feel like, unlike when you've actually been fully pregnant, you can't really close your legs properly, your legs meet again and you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel so light. And then you have your baby in your arms and you've pretty much forgotten all the pain that you just went through. So yeah, I hope you can get quite a clear picture of what labour feels like. I hope I've been able to accurately give you like an idea in your head, but also I hope I've been able to encourage you that you can get through it. If you've got a labour coming up, do not be scared. Labour pains are pains that you can cope with. I mean, of course, there's some medications like painkillers that people will take, so obviously you not have to go through the pain of labour. I've only ever chosen to use gas and air. It's also called Entinox gas, I think is the right word for it. And yeah, if that's the route you want to go down, then hey, go down that route. But I've always just tried to stick to what I would see as the closest to the most natural way of giving birth. Yeah, I've not actually branched into doing it with no painkillers yet, but hey, there's still one more labour to go, so we'll see. But that's not my plan. Anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, please make sure you put them in the comment section below. I'd love to like chop it up with you and also hear your experiences of labour, and if you think I've accurately described what labour pains feel like. Anyway, guys, I love you guys. Take care. Bye.